So this sequence today is all about tension in the shoulder and the neck and releasing this tension, which I think most of us have tension in this area, upper back, neck, shoulders. And you'll see I've got a brick and a strap with me. It's not essential to have these things, but it might be useful. So start in a seated position and just really feel the ground beneath your pelvis and legs and feet. And from that foundation, just extending up through the spine, nice and tall at the top of the head. And just really tune into the shoulders and the upper back. How are they feeling for you? Making sure the hands are relaxed, the arms are relaxed. And we're just going to start with a releasing pranayama technique, releasing breath, a 3-part exhale. So take a deep inhale in through the nose. And then we'll breathe out in 3 parts. So breathe out about a third through the nose, hold. Breathe out another third, hold. And fully exhale, all the way. Releasing. Again, deep inhale through the nose, filling up the lungs. Breathing out a third, hold. Another third, hold. And breathe out all the remaining air in the lungs, all the way out, releasing breath. One more deep inhale. And exhale a third, hold. Another third, pause. And fully exhale all of the air. Let it all go. Releasing tension in the shoulders, shoulders relaxed, neck relaxed. And just come back to normal breathing, conscious breath in and out through the nose. Setting this intention that every exhale releases a little bit more tension. And then doing some neck exercises with the breath. So as you inhale, stretch the chin up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, bring the chin down to the chest. You may notice me coughing in the video here. That's very common when we start to work with the throat like this. Inhale, taking the chin up, but not dropping the head all the way back. Don't compress the back of the neck too much. It's more about stretching the front of the neck. Exhaling, chin to chest. And one more time with your breath. Inhaling, stretch the front of the throat. Really lift that chin. Exhale, bring the chin towards the chest. It may or may not touch, doesn't matter. Coming back to the centre and inhale. As you exhale, turn the head to the left. So you're just pivoting the head, that's the only thing that moves. Inhale, centre, exhale, right. Inhaling, centre, exhale, turn to look over the left shoulder. Inhale, centre, exhale, right. And just do one more time, each side with your own breath. And just notice if one side is tighter than the other, probably. And you can maybe just spend a little bit longer on that tight side, maybe an extra breath. And then returning to the centre. And creep your left fingertips out as far as they'll go to the left. And then drop your right ear to the right shoulder and lift your right hand over the head so it's just draped across the left ear, fingertips pointing down. So left fingertips creep outwards and we're kind of almost pulling the left ear ever so slightly, a little bit of traction with the right hand, pulling up with the ear to really stretch that left side of the neck. And again, the only thing that moves here is the head. Keep the spine vertical. Deep breaths. And then just push the head back to centre. So use your right hand to just push the right temple so you don't overstrain the neck. And then same on the other side. Creep the right fingertips out. Left hand reaches up and over, draping over the right ear. Pull up on that right ear ever so slightly to create this stretch down the right side. Deep breaths. Really dropping that right shoulder. Releasing exhales. Releasing tension with each breath. And then again, you're going to use your hand to bring the head to neutral. So just push the left temple with the left hand back to upright. And then we're just going to take one really slow neck roll in each direction. So just exploring the full mobility of your very mobile cervical spine, neck spine. So bringing the chin all the way down to the chest, ear to shoulder, stretching the chin up, opposite ear to shoulder, and take it the other way. And again, if you find tight, sticky areas, rather than rushing through, which is our tendency, kind of linger in those areas. They need the extra time and attention. Back to neutral, and then just easing the shoulders. So just take a few really big circles with the shoulders, bring the shoulders up to the ears, squeezing the shoulder blades together, taking the shoulders back and pressing them down, and then taking it the other way, a few circles the other way, bringing the shoulders forward, really compressing the chest. And then from here, take the hands behind you, interlace the fingers and lift the hands up and away from the back. So we're really opening the front of the chest here, and take some deep breaths. And it may seem counterintuitive to use the back muscles like this to ease tension, but we're going to work with a combination of opening but also working those muscles. So this one actually works the big back muscles quite a lot. Breathe into the front of the chest and release. Between each of these deep stretches, you may need to just move the shoulders a little bit, front crawl, back crawl. Bring the hands in front of you, palm facing, and then take the left elbow on top of the right. Option to either hold opposite shoulder blade and drop the chin, or, as I'm doing now, you can come into Gourmakasana, so pressing either the backs of the hands together or the palms together with the forearms vertical, and then you're lifting the elbows up in line with the shoulders and pressing the hands forward away from the face and breathing into the upper back. So bring each inhale right into the upper back and feel the shoulder blades widening as you inhale, really stretching the skin in the upper back, finding space in the body with the breath. Unravel, take the arms wide and back, even behind the shoulders, and then coming onto the other side. So right elbows on top now, either as I'm doing here, holding opposite shoulder blade, or full posture Gourmakasana, forearms vertical, press the hands, lift those elbows, press the hands forward, and most important, deep breaths into the upper back, whichever option you choose. So with these tense areas of the body, well, with all tension in the body, we're using deep releasing breaths to let go of what we don't need anymore, tension. Again, in between, release, and you may need to just front crawl, back crawl the shoulders. Notice me doing a big yawn. That's also very common when we release tension and stuck energy. Yawning is a common response. Take the right hand up and drop the fingertips down the spine, and then use the left hand to just pull up and press down on that right elbow to maybe take the fingertips a little bit further down the spine. And you can stay there. We're quite early on in the practice, that might be enough. Otherwise, full position, you're taking the left hand behind you and up the spine. Sorry, this is Gourmakasana arms. Previously we were doing Garudasana. Always get confused. Okay, so you may find your opposite fingertips and hook fingertips here, but if not, no problem. Just hold onto your top, or if you have that strap handy, hold it in the right hand and dangle it down and find the strap with the left hand, keeping the right elbow in line with the ear and keeping the chin lifted. Release, ease the shoulders if you need. Take the left hand up, drop the fingertips down the spine. Use your right hand to pull up and press down. Fingertips might just go a little bit lower down the back. Elbow stays in line with the ear, left elbow with left ear, staying there, or reaching right hand behind you and taking the fingertips up the spine, possibly finding that finger hook, or holding the top. Often for many of us this is the tight side. For most people are right-handed, and tends to be the tighter side, but not necessarily, just observing. And again, it's your home practice. You may wish to pause the video and take a few extra breaths on your tight side. Deep breaths. Release. Ease the shoulders, quite an intense stretch that. And just relax for a moment. And then tricep stretch. Take your left hand across the front of the body in line with the chest, and you're using your right arm as a hook. So bend the right arm around just above the elbow on the forearm and squeeze your right arm in towards you to deepen the stretch. And you can just look over your left shoulder. You should feel a stretch up the outside of the upper right arm and outside of the right shoulder. And relax, release, other side. Take the right hand across the body. Use your left hand as the hook now. And you may be different. The hook might be just above the elbow or just beneath the elbow, so either forearm or upper arm, but very close to the elbow. And really draw that left hand towards you to deepen the stretch. Keep the right shoulder down and look over the right shoulder. I must apologise for my creaky door. I'm going to try and close it. And now take the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, stretch up and away. And keeping the hands interlaced, bring the hands around to the left side and squeeze the left elbow towards the right. You can't quite see what's happening in the video, but it's as though you've got a beach ball between the elbows and you're squeezing, so you're really using those upper back muscles here. And you drop your left ear towards the left shoulder, again without moving the spine, just the head. Keep working those big back muscles, squeeze, 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 inner elbows towards each other. Breathe into that stretch on the right side of the neck. And release, keep the hands interlaced, stretch up and back behind again, breathe into the chest, deep inhale, exhale, come round to the right, keeping the hands interlaced. Squeeze the right elbow in towards the left. Drop the right ear to the right shoulder. Deep breaths into that stretch down the left side of the neck. And really activating the big back muscles, so inner elbows really drawing towards each other. Coming back to the centre, one more inhale, lifting the hands up behind you, breathing into the chest, and exhale, release. Again, ease the shoulders if you wish. Take a breath in the centre. And then interlacing the hands, bring the hands in line with the head in front of you, again as if you're holding a massive beach ball now, so the elbows are slightly bent and you drop the chin to the chest. Hands are in line with the shoulders. And your fingers are interlaced, but it's like you're trying to pull them apart without pulling them apart. And you should feel a strong stretch across the top of the upper back, across the upper back. Breathe into that area of the body. And release the hands, lift the head, ease the shoulders. Relax. Conscious deep breaths, following each exhale out to its completion. Find your way onto hands and knees now. Knees under hips, hands underneath shoulders, and let's cat-cow. So inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, looking up. Exhale, tailbone draws under. Push through the hands, stretch the spine to the ceiling, chin in towards the chest. And just do a couple more rounds with your breath rhythm. Opening up the spine. I've actually just become a pet owner for the first time with a little kitten, and she does this all the time. And coming into Anahatasana, so keep the hips over the knees, thighs vertical, start to take the hands forward, and we're kind of melting the chest towards the floor here. Your head may or may not touch down, forehead to the mat, possibly chin if you're very open, otherwise use a block, that brick underneath the head, or a cushion or a book, whatever you've got to hand, and really breathe into the upper back. This can be a very strong stretch on the front of the shoulders and around the shoulder blades, so just deep breaths, releasing breaths. Try and find as much release in the front of the body as possible, as much of that kind of melting feeling. Melting the heart to the floor. So there's a concave curve in the spine here. Great release for the low back as well. And then coming up, lifting the head, bringing the hands back into underneath the shoulders. Push through the right hand and reach the left hand up towards the ceiling, spreading those fingertips. So really push down through the right hand, stretch up through left. And as you exhale, bring the left hand through underneath the right hand, palm facing up. And stretch the right hand forward. Now I'm doing an optional add-on here where you can extend the right leg out to the side in line with the hip, and maybe find connection between left fingertips and right toes, maybe not, but keep active in the right hand. It's stretched forward and you're on the fingertips, and you can, after a few breaths, as I'm doing, choose to take that right hand behind you and maybe find the left hip crease, and then really, if you're doing that, really draw the whole right shoulder girdle towards the centre line of the body, towards the spine. Activate the shoulder girdle. So we're not kind of sloppy there, it's active work. Bringing the right hand back to the floor, pressing through the hand, bringing the right foot, knee back down if you took it out. Do a cat-cow between sides with your breath. Inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat. And other side, I'm going straight for the optional add-on here with my left leg out to the side, but you don't need to do that. Press through the left hand, reach the right hand up to the ceiling, find space between the shoulder blades here. So active press through the left hand, active reach through the right fingertips, and exhale, bring the right hand through, crossing the body underneath the left hand, and palm faces up. Stretch your left hand forward, up on the fingertips, so TPing the fingertips wrist high to really open around that left shoulder. And you can stay there, it's a great opening for the shoulder, or again that option to take the left hand around the back and find the right hip crease or rest it on the lower back, and then really activate the whole shoulder girdle to bring it towards the spine, towards the center line of the body. Deep releasing breaths, and bring the left hand back to the floor, press through the hand, come back to tabletop, and then from here we're going to come up to a downward dog. So you're going to tuck the toes under and have the hands just in front of the shoulders, and then lift those hips and push through the hands to extend the spine, taking the hips up and back. And it's the first downward dog, you might need to just bend the knees, you might need to walk it out, but really find your foundations and try a real shoulder opener here. It's not how we usually do downward dog, but you can see what I'm doing here. I'm almost concaving the spine again, pressing the chest towards the floor, and you may be able to get your head closer to the floor or even on the floor, but you may be nowhere near that, it doesn't matter, but it's just for a moment really opening the armpits, a bit like Anahatasana, and then come back to the kind of more even posture, so with the back in line with the arms, and feel how different that is. You feel much stronger when you're in this kind of solid triangle rather than this bendy shape, but it's just different. We certainly wouldn't hang out in that concave shape for much longer, but just every now and then. Walk the feet to the hands, and feet underneath the hips and parallel. Take a forward fold and interlace the hands and bring the hands up, and depending on how open your shoulders are, maybe forward, but definitely lifting them up away from the back. So nice forward bend here, having a bend in the knees if you need, and then bend the left knee deep and look over your right shoulder, and your hands will naturally move over to the left. So this is quite a strong opener for the left shoulder, so be kind. It's also a strong opener for the right hamstring. Come back to the center, bend the right knee, look over the left shoulder. Hands will naturally swing to the right, and you should feel this around the shoulders, especially the right shoulder, and also down the back of that left leg. Come back to the center, just a couple more breaths in the forward fold here, and then bring the hands back to the lower back and release. Take the hands to the floor, inhaling, looking up and lengthening with the back flat. Take the left hand directly underneath the face, right hand onto the sacrum, and then look up over your left shoulder. You can extend the left hand up to the ceiling, as I'm doing, or you can keep it resting on the sacrum. What we're looking for here is to keep the sacrum flat, so you're only twisting in the upper body, the hips don't enter the twist. Swapping over, right hand beneath the face. You can use your brick here if the floor's too far away, because you want to have a good purchase to press into. And again, either keep the left hand on the sacrum, which can help you see if it stays flat or not, or stretch it up to the ceiling and find that space between the shoulder blades and the thoracic spine by pressing through right hand, reaching through left. Coming back to the center, hands to hips, deep bend in the knees, coming up to stand with a flat back. When you reach standing, interlace the fingers behind the back again and press the knuckles down as if you're kind of cupping your buttocks here. So we're gliding the shoulder blades together and down the spine and opening the pectoral muscles, opening the front of the chest. Strong Tadasana legs. And then step your right foot down the mat, so we're facing the long edge of the mat. Turn left foot in slightly, right foot out. Nice wide stance. We're going to bend the right knee so it's above the ankle or behind, and rest the right elbow on the thigh. And then you're going to take the left hand behind the back and hold onto the right thigh if that's available. That could be enough for you, or full bind option, you wrap the right hand underneath the right leg and find the fingertips or the wrist of the left hand behind you, looking up. Super aware of that back leg, strong left leg, active left foot, pressing into the little toe edge, pressing into the right heel. Draw the left shoulder back, whichever version of this you're in. Inhale back to upright, but keep the leg position, and come into warrior two, so opening the hands wide And this is where a strap could be handy. We're going to come into Gormukhasana arms again. We did this in the warm-up. So lifting the right elbow up, dropping the fingertips down the spine, holding the strap if you know you're going to need it, and then bring the left hand up the spine, hold the strap or maybe fingertips or top. And then there's an option to lean back here. It's quite a strong opening for the right shoulder, so stay upright if it's too much to lean back. Keep that deep bend in the right leg, right hip crease. Very strong in the left leg. Breathe into that right side of the body. Strong work for the shoulders. Coming back to upright, straighten the right leg, release the bind. And from here, in between sides, we're going to turn the feet parallel, still a nice wide stance. Bring the hands behind you. Again, interlace the fingers, lift up and away from the back with the hands, and exhale, forward fold into Prasarita Padottanasana, our wide leg forward fold, bringing those hands up and possibly forward, but it doesn't matter where they get to. What matters is that you're lifting them up away from the back and kind of pressing back through the knuckles as well to keep drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Active feet, strong legs. Keep the work going in the hands and the shoulders. Keep drawing the hands, knuckles back and up. Inhaling, coming out, leading with the hands. Exhale, release. And again, you see all these openers activate my kind of throat. It's very interesting. Same on the other side. Turn the left foot out all the way and the right foot in slightly, and bring the left elbow onto the left thigh and wrap the right hand behind you and maybe find the left thigh. Staying there. Or full bind, taking left hand underneath the left thigh and reaching up behind to maybe find the right fingertips or wrist behind you. Look up, activate the back foot, pressing into the little toe edge of the right foot. Activate the left foot, pressing through the heel. So strong legs, core awareness, drawing the navel back to the spine, looking up, drawing right shoulder girdle towards the spine. Keep the legs where they are, and inhale, release your bind and come up to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, looking forward over your left middle finger, arms spreading wide. Take the left elbow up, fingertips down the spine, and take the right hand up the spine. Use a strap if you need, or find the bind, or find your top. And there's that optional extra to lean back without moving the legs, keeping the legs exactly where they are. Breathing into the left side chest. And coming up, straightening the left leg, turning right foot in. Oh, my kitten's just woken up. Turn the toes to point to the edges of the mat, and bend the knees, drop the hips, the hands are on the thighs. So we're in goddess pose or horse pose. And then as you exhale, drop the right shoulder towards the center line. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, drop the left shoulder to the center line. Look up over the opposite shoulder. Inhale to center, and again we're going to revisit Garudasana. So bring the hands out in front of you, left elbow on top first, and either hold onto opposite shoulder blade or wrap the arms and come into our eagle posture, pressing the hands together, elbows lifting, hands pressing away from the face, and release. Take the hands wide and backwards, and then right hand on top of right elbow on top of left. Hold opposite shoulder blade or take the bind. Press the hands together, lift the elbows up, press the hands forward. Strong legs, awareness in the feet. And release. Press through the feet. Inhale, straightening the legs, coming up with a straight spine. Step back to the front of the mat. And again, find that interlaced hand position, pressing the knuckles down towards the floor. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. So once again we're activating those big back muscles. Keep squeezing, keep pushing the knuckles down. I'm taking Kali Mudra, where I'm pointing my index finger just to help with that intention of pressing down. And then inhale, take the hands up and look up. Palms together. Exhale, fold, hands come to the floor. Inhale, look up with a flat back. Exhale, step back to plank. Take a big inhale here with the legs strong, arms active. And as you exhale, release the knees to the floor, elbows in, chin and chest to the floor, hips high. Inhale your way up to a back bend, which may be with bent arms or straight. It may be full upward dog with the thighs off the mat, up to you. And exhale your way back to downward dog. And then come down onto the elbows here. So we're going to come into dolphin, which is an amazing posture for both opening and strengthening the upper back. So elbows directly underneath the shoulders, interlace the hands, head stays off the floor. Keep the shoulders directly above the elbows as you walk the feet in as close to the elbows as they will go. And you're just looking back to the feet, and the work here is all about pressing down through the elbows and the wrists and the little fingers, so the arms are super active. Keep the core involved as well, so keep drawing the navel to the spine so that you find your strength at the centre of the body. And then walking out to dolphin plank. So choice is to keep the hands as they are, elbows under the shoulders, fingers interlaced, or I prefer to come into releasing the bind and forearms parallel, because this is kind of preparation for forearm balance, this hand position. Strong legs, strong core. And then lowering down, bringing the hips down and taking the hands and elbows forward slightly, so the elbows are maybe just in front of the shoulders, coming into a sphinx back bend, relaxing the buttocks, lightly pressing down through the tops of the feet, drawing the floor towards you, traction to really open the front of the chest. So keep gliding the shoulder blades together down the spine. So there's again a lot of work in the upper back here. And then slowly release, bring the elbows forward, lay the spine down on the mat, rest the forehead on the backs of the hands, wobble the hips if you need. Just take some slow, deep breaths here. Deep breaths into the lower back, deep breaths into the upper back, full releasing exhales. Check the jaw is relaxed, the neck is relaxed. And then bring the hands underneath the shoulders, press yourself up to tabletop, and then stretch the hips back and down onto the heels, keeping the fingertips active. So keep the wrists high, TPing the fingertips so the elbows are off the mat, forehead's on the floor or on a block. So again, we're finding that stretch around the shoulders here and the upper back, keeping the arms active like this and extended. Deep breaths, connect with your breath. Child's pose is a wonderful posture for coming back to the breath, feeling the physicality of the breath as the belly presses on the inner thighs as you breathe in. So just really deeply connect to your breath, and then slowly come up to kneel. Last thing to come up is the head. Drop the hips to the side and stretch the legs out in front of you, flexing the feet, hands either side of the hips. So Dandasana, legs very strong, pushing through the heels, push through the big toe pads, and draw the little toes towards you to square off the feet. Drop the chin to the chest, and then take the hands behind you, and if you can, little fingers touch or towards each other, and actively arch the spine, keeping the chin kind of drawing in for now. So there's an arch in the spine here, an opening of the chest, and again an activation of the upper back muscles. Breathing into this chest opener. Legs are still active and strong. And then coming back to normal Dandasana, use your core, draw the navel to the spine, lift up on the pelvic floor muscles to open through the lower back, and inhale, stretch the hands up, palms face each other. Exhale, take the chin and the chest forward, find purchase, either hands to legs or feet, whatever you find, use a strap if you wish. Take the extra inhale to look up and lengthen the spine, and then exhale, drop the head, coming into Paschimottanasana, our forward fold. Keep those feet active and keep squaring the soles of the feet as if you're standing on the floor, this invisible floor in front of you. Keep the legs active, thighs firm. Relax the jaw, relax the shoulders away from the ear, and breathe deep breaths. Deep breaths into the back of the body. Slowly coming up and taking a Purusvottanasana, a kind of a counter posture. Take the hands behind you about 10 centimeters, fingertips forward, and push up. You can do this with the knees bent, as I'm demonstrating here, for upward tabletop, or the full posture you do it with the legs straight, which I'm now demonstrating. Either way, you're pressing through the hands to firm up the triceps. There is an option to take the head all the way back to really open the throat if you feel safe to do so. If you're in the straight leg position, you're probably going to be on your little toe edges, so really try and inwardly rotate those legs to press the big toes down, so we seal the whole of the sole of the foot to the floor. Press the hips high, one more breath, and then exhale, lower with control, so your hands are your brakes. You don't crash land. And then you're going to step your right foot to the outside of the left knee, keeping the left leg very active, left toes to the ceiling. Stretch up through the left side, your right hand your prop behind you, and twist towards the bent leg. You can either hug the right knee into the crook of the left elbow, or press the elbow to the outside of the right thigh, or final option, as I'm doing here, is to take the bind, where you feed that left hand back through the gap beneath the right knee, and maybe find your right fingertips or wrist behind you. Either way, look over the right shoulder, and really don't worry about the bind. Don't compromise the breath and the depth of the twist just to get the bind. It's just there if it's available, and it's a nice shoulder opener. Turn to the front. Everything happens in its own time, hey? And then other side, so step the left foot to the outside of the right knee, keep the right leg super active, toes to the ceiling, and twist from the navel, getting really long through the right side as you twist, and either hug the knee into the elbow, or press the elbow to the outside of the left thigh, or take the bind as I'm showing here. See if you can really press through the sole of the left foot, so the whole of the sole of the foot makes contact with the floor, and keeping that right foot very active and aware as well. Drawing the left shoulder blade towards the centre line, whichever version of this you're in. Looking over your left shoulder. Breathing deep. Turn to the front, unravel. And then you may need a strap here. We're going to come into Marichiyasana A. So you're going to keep the left leg extended, interlace your hands around your right shin and draw the right heel towards the buttock, but you want a handspan gap between the right foot and the left thigh. Reach up through the right side, get really high, and then get forward and low as if you're trying to touch something in front of you, and then extend both hands out towards the side, fingertips on the floor, and it may be available for you to reach the right hand behind you and either hold the strap or possibly hold the wrist or the fingertips. Full bound Marichiyasana, and then you inhale, lengthen the spine, exhale, forward fold. So I did show all three possibilities there. You may need to kind of pause and rewind if you're not understanding, but either way, just taking a few breaths, dropping the head, so either your fingertips are extended out either side, or you're working towards the bind, maybe with a strap, or you're in the bind with the right hand wrapping around the front of the right shin. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Don't worry if the right buttock comes off the mat a little bit, by the way, that's normal. And swap sides, so extend right leg, hands around the front of the left shin, draw the heel in, but make sure there's that gap between the left foot and the inner right thigh. Stretch up through the left side, reach forward and low, then either extend the fingertips out to the side or use the strap or take the bind. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, drop the head. And again, that left buttock is bound to come up a little bit here, it's normal. Slow, deep breaths. Great shoulder opener, or great preparation for shoulder opening if you're not fully in the bind yet. It's still all helping free up this upper back area that gets quite stuck. Inhale, looking up, release. And then from here, we're gonna come down to the mat. So slowly lower yourself down. And there's an option here to use the brick if you have one. It's a really nice way to do a back bend. You take the brick, remember it has 3 heights. I'm using the highest height here, but you could use the middle or the lowest, but you're placing it on the sacrum. So the sacrum is the fused bony plate at the base of the spine. It's just above the cleft of the buttocks. It's quite low. And you feel it when you connect with it because you can just relax all your weight onto that. It's where the edge of the block meets the sacrum. It feels very stable and you can relax. So just you might need to play around a bit. And then I'm interlacing my hands around the block to open up the shoulders, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And there's an option, as I'm doing here, to do leg lifts. So you can raise the right leg, pressing through the heel. And then you can either just take a couple of breaths, swap and do the other side, or As I'm doing, we can come into a supported inversion here by taking both legs up, and there's a really nice arch in the spine. It's freeing for the lower back, but we're still kind of activating the upper back muscles by keeping the hands interlaced, pressing down through the little fingers and the elbows and the shoulders. Breathing deep, breathing the chest towards the chin, legs active. So you can totally skip this. Just do single leg lifts, or just staying with both feet on the floor. Exhaling, bringing both feet down, and you can just stay in the supported back bend for a few more breaths, but I was wanting to do the full back bend, so if you wish to do an unsupported back bend, either supported bridge where you're just up on the elbows or interlacing the hands, or as I'm doing, hands underneath the shoulders and press up to full Urdhva Dhanurasana, the wheel, strong legs. So just your choice of one more back bend or a few more breaths in that lovely supported back bend. You can extend the legs in the supported back bend as well. Slowly, and the feet will flop out to the side, that's normal. Slowly coming down, so if you're still on the block, just lift up to remove it and peel the spine back onto the mat from the upper back to the lower back. And then take the feet forward and wide, let the knees knock together. Take the hands up to the ceiling in line with the shoulders, and just bend the elbows and drop the hands so they kind of reach around towards the opposite shoulder. So it's very opening for the sacrum and the upper back here, shoulder blade area. Take deep breaths into the back. Release the arms and just swap over so the other elbow's in front now. Deep breaths. Releasing breaths. Inner knees are touching. And then release. Bring the hands out in line with the shoulders, or maybe cactus arms like I'm doing here with the right angle at the elbow. Bring the knees up and inhale at the centre, and as you exhale, bring the knees over to the right and look over the left shoulder. And you may release the right hand onto the outer left thigh just to anchor that leg down, option. Deep releasing breaths. Really trying to relax around the left shoulder blade. So our focus today is in the upper back and shoulders and neck. So we're looking over that left shoulder to ease the neck. And we're really trying to let go of all the held tension around that left shoulder blade. So feel the skin of the back of the left shoulder blade touch the floor. Inhale with core awareness, bring the knees to the centre, and exhale, take the knees over to the right. Look over the left, to the left, and look over the right shoulder. Maybe left hand rests on outer right thigh. And again, take your awareness into the upper back, especially the right side, and try and give yourself permission to release those big muscles that hold the shoulder blade in place. Let the skin of the upper right back drop towards the floor. Relaxing the jaw. Deep releasing breath. Deepen the breath even more now. Inhale to the centre. Exhale, hug the knees into the chest for a moment, keeping the sacrum on the floor if you can. And then finish with a final burst of energy with the cannonball. So squeeze everything in, tight, tight, tight. Lift the head to the knees. Thighs are pressing against each other, arms squeezing into the legs. And then release, come into Shavasana. If you need any extra little stretches here before Shavasana, then take them. Otherwise, just dropping into our deep relaxation. If you have lots of time today, you can just stay in Shavasana longer. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a minute or so. Checking the spine, the head, the neck, the pelvis is aligned. Let go of any breath control. Just be. So much of the tension in the upper back comes from this low level anxiety or stress that we carry around us in our days. It kind of slowly, the shoulders creep towards the ears, and after a while the tension becomes so habitual it's hard to let go. But after a tension busting sequence like this, there's perhaps more spaciousness in the body, more ability to just become more aware of the holding patterns you might have in the shoulders, the neck, the upper back, and just give it up, just surrender to the support of the floor beneath you. And in many ways, Shavasana is the posture that takes the most mastery. How quickly can we let go? How fully can we let go? Nothing to do, nowhere to be, just this. And then, as I say, if you have longer, please take longer in Shavasana. But if you're finishing with me, this 40-minute or so practice, just start to deepen the breath again and make micro movements in the fingers and toes, and any deeper stretches, arms overhead, stretching into the heels and the toes, maybe knees into the chest. And slowly just make your way to seated if you're finishing with me. Come to a comfortable seated position and just take a moment's pause at the end of the class to just check in. How does the upper back feel now? How do the shoulders and the neck feel now? And just set the intention to whatever you've released to just stay released. And namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Sorry about the creaky door.